We welcome to Richard Raw's Daily Meditation from the Centre for Action and Contemplation. The theme for this week is Being Peaceful Change, and the title of today's contribution, today being Tuesday the 28th of July 2020, is Non-Violence, a Spiritual Superpower. And Richard Raw begins by quoting Gandhi, who says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." And he goes on to say, "My good friend John Deere is a devoted student of Mohandas Gandhi and has dedicated his life to the promotion of non-violence through his activism and writing." John writes this: "In his search for God and truth, Mohandas Gandhi, who lived between 1869 and 1948, concluded that he could never hurt or kill anyone, much less remain passive in the face of injustice, imperialism, and war. Instead, Gandhi dedicated himself to the practice and promotion of non-violence. He concluded that non-violence is not only the most powerful force there is, it is the spiritual practice most neglected and most needed throughout the world. Non-violence means avoiding injury to anything on earth, in thought, word, or deed," Gandhi told an interviewer in 1935. But for Gandhi, non-violence meant not just refraining from physical violence, interpersonally and nationally, but refraining from the inner violence of the heart as well. It meant the practice of active love towards one's oppressors and enemies in the pursuit of justice, truth, and peace. Non-violence cannot be preached, he insisted, it has to be practiced. For 50 years, Gandhi sought to practice non-violence at every level in his life, in his own heart, among his family and friends, and publicly in his struggle for equality in South Africa and freedom for India. It was the means by which he sought the ends of truth. In fact, he later concluded that the ends were in the means, or perhaps they were even the same. In other words, the practice of non-violence is not just the way to peace, it is the way to God. Gandhi's non-violence was a religious duty. It stood at the center of his spirituality, all his spiritual teachings, and his daily spiritual practice. Gandhi concluded that God is non-violent, and that God's reign is the reign of non-violence. Non-violence assumes entire reliance upon God, Gandhi taught. When the practice of non-violence becomes universal, God will reign on earth as God reigns in heaven. After years of studying the various religions, Gandhi concluded, too, that non-violence is at the heart of every religion. It is the common ground of all the world's religions, the hidden ground of peace and love underlying every religion. Gandhi thought that the force of non-violence was more powerful than all nuclear weapons combined, and that if we all practiced perfect active non-violence, we could unleash a spiritual explosion more powerful than the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. "I am certain that if we want to bring about peace in the world," Gandhi told a group of visitors a few months before his death, "there is no other way except that of non-violence." "Non-violence is the greatest and most active force in the world," Gandhi wrote. "My optimism rests on my belief in the infinite possibilities of the individual to develop non-violence. The more you develop it in your own being, the more infectious it becomes till it overwhelms your surroundings and by might oversweep the world." Here ends the meditation for today.